Welcome to a place for creativity, culture and the arts in Pontypridd. Today we're delighted to introduce you to the team at Artist Community Cymuned and to unveil the public artwork designs on the building by artists Heinrich and Palmer. Croeso I man creu meithrin a celf ym Pontypridd. Heddiw rydym yn falch iawn o'ch cyflwyno i'r tîm yn Artist Community Cymuned ac I ddadorchuddio'r dyluniadau gwaith celf cyhoeddus ar yr adeilad gan yr artistiaid Heinrich a Palmer.
When the YMCA building opens next year in Pontypridd, I just think it's going to be a huge benefit to the community. A building where the community can really feel that sense of ownership, that sense of welcome as soon as they walk through the door, and knowing that it is a place where they can go and they can have a cup of tea, have a conversation with the staff and have a really open space. There's so much more you can do when you have a space, and to be able to have such an inclusive space where people can come and suggest what it is that they want, and we can develop ideas with the community, we can bring performances and create a really beautiful space of creativity and creative expression, you know. Does that answer your question?
I'm really excited about the new building opening. I just think it's going to open up so many new opportunities for the people of Pontypridd and for us as a team.
In terms of the community, I just think it's going to be an incredible asset for people, really. I mean, who wouldn't want to access it? I mean, it's going to be a beautiful all singing, all dancing place with so much for people to be able to participate in.
Looking at the amount of different arts organisations there are in Wales, I've always believed that every community really needs that space.
It's a great building, the designs are stunning, you know, it's a multi-million-pound refurbishment. And it's something the community can get behind and be really proud of, and it's for everyone. You know, it's when we open that building, we want to see everybody using it. That there's going to be a welcome for people from all backgrounds, all ages, all abilities.
I'm really excited about what it can offer my family in terms of activity and the opportunities to be able to take part in different activities, whether that's, you know, arts or sport or gymnastics and film clubs. It's a really exciting time, you know, to kind of make a difference and make a change to our communities and have an influence really on what we would like to have and what's missing, and just make a difference for everyone and to be able to bring people together.
Dwi'n mawr yn gobeithio bydd pobl yn teimlo bod hyn yn le sydd yn agor posibiliadau I gymryd rhan mewn sgyrsiau, gweithgareddau, digwyddiadau cyrsiau falle, gwylio perfformiad neu bod yn rhan o perfformiad, cwrdd â ffrindiau dros paned a dysgu. A gwneud y cyfraniad I ddyfodol y leoliad fel man croesawgar a chatrefol.
Been the opportunity to have a base like the YMCA, having a building that has a theatre, being able to push what the arts is in Pontypridd, how versatile, how different it can be, being able to connect with more people. I hope that it brings more opportunity for us to do more for the people we already work with.
And I'm really excited about it because the potential is massive, because we will reach more people. And I'm hoping if I've done my job properly, the people of Rhondda Cynon Taff will feel an ownership over that building, really feel like it belongs to them and it's something that they're proud of, that's in their county.
And I'm incredibly excited by the potential to make a difference to people's lives by providing better access to our projects in this beautiful new space.
Having that base, having somewhere that they can go and they feel comfortable to be creative and to meet lots of different people and to enjoy lots of different art forms and get involved with them is going to be really beneficial.
Mae cydweithio da'r gymuned lleol a mewn partneriaeth dy sefydliadau eraill yn holl bwysig I ddyfodol yr adeilad. Mae'r Pontypridd YMCA ag artist i fod yn bartneri ynghyd â Chyngor Celfyddydau Cymru a Chyngor Rhondda Cynon Taff ar ddatblygiad yr adeilad ers dros 10 mlynedd bellach. A bydd hi'n bwysig i barhau ag ehangu'n bartneriaethau i'r ddyfodol mwyn sicrhau cynaliadwyedd a pherthnasedd y lleoliad yn symud ymlaen.
For me, art is community, and that's what the special thing about of artists is the fact that we bring everyone together to take part, and no matter what your ability is and what your passions are, there's a place for you here, and I think that's what the YMCA is going to bring.
Bydd hi'n leoliad ar gyfer creadigrwydd, diwylliant a'r celfyddydau yn le cymdeithasol go iawn. Rhywle mae pethau'n digwydd, ac nid just digwyddiadau, ond lle falle i brofi sut mae i dyfu syniadau o ddim byd i fod yn rhywbeth diriaethol.
Hello, I'm Heinrich.
And I'm Rhondda and Palmer, and we're the two artists that have been commissioned to produce the artwork designs for the glass parapet of the Pontypridd YMCA building.
We wanted to show you our completed designs and give you some background to how it actually came up with the idea.
This image here gives us an artist's impression of the YMCA building when it's complete. This shows the parapet running around with the design mapped onto the surface.
So we started this project at quite a unique time back in April when the country was in lockdown. And so we relied very much on looking at online resources and digital archives, and also consulting with the community via telephone conversations and Zoom meetings, just to be able to build up a picture of the area. We started by looking at the history and context of the building and looking at various ways in which the landscape around Pontypridd had been mapped over the centuries, starting from kind of today's sort of view, satellite view of Google Maps, and going way back to the 16th century. The National Library of Wales provided a really rich resource to draw upon. But even kind of back in the 16th century, you could quite easily define where Pontypridd was, just because of the way that the confluence of the rivers met, and the actual town itself was on a drover's route, so livestock was driven down through the valleys towards the Severn. And as you can see, the area is starting to build up. Map here, type map of the 19th century, shows the location of the YMCA building, which is actually kind of gardens at this point, to a much more recent map, which is kind of showing how the industry is shaping the landscape. So we wanted the artwork to reflect the dynamic form of the landscape, also giving expression to the flow of creativity that would occur within the building. We also want to reference other elements that drew upon Pontypridd's heritage, and we had various conversations with members from the Crafty Cuppa group to see what direction this might take, and we also instigated other activities which fed into the ideas and the design, supported very much by artists.
This map became the basis of the artwork, and it shows the contours and the rivers and the watercourses running down from up here, the Brecon beacons, the Taff running down through Pontypridd down to the sea, and the Rhondda down through Pontypridd down to the sea as well, and meeting at this point of confluence. And this was open source data, it's OS data, and it is this that gave us the basis on which to develop the designs. The actual rivers in the end were a mixture of using this as a guide, but then also old maps and other ways of looking at the mapping to get actually more of a sense of the actual physical shape of the rivers, where they get wider or narrower or whatever. And so we mapped this onto the actual glazing and distorted it to fit the long line, which we'll see in a bit.
So these are some of our early visualizations for the designs, which we developed quite early on in the project to present and discuss with RCT Creative Conversations Group. RCT Creative Writers Group, Our Place Parent and Baby Groups and the Crafty Cuppa Group. Because of the lockdown situation and timescale, we felt it was really important to be able to share our initial ideas and shape the designs through a dialogue of different groups. We also were really keen to know more about the area and invited people via social media and video meetings to share their memories and images of Pontypridd. We've been sent a wonderful array of images and text from various groups and individuals. These poems, writings and pictures were sent to us by Anne Davies, Gareth Price and Brian Dodds, all members of the RCT Creative Writers Group. To elicit dialogue, we also devised a number of creative exercises targeted at key community groups, identified and already engaged by the artists and YMCA community. These activities and conversations have run in parallel and have shaped the final designs. These include the Colour Snap project for Our Place Parent and Baby groups. This was a joint activity which carers and their children could do together around the home or on their daily walks during the lockdown period. Participants were asked to seek out colours that corresponded with colours on the swatch card that we designed and compile their photographs using a photo grid app. And these are some of the images shared by the group, and they provided an impressionistic snapshot of the area, all which helped inspire the final colour scheme. We also worked with Crafty Cuppas, a craft-based activity group for over 50s with around 18 to 20 members. We're quite mindful that some of this group might not have access to the internet, so worked with artists to create postcards from Ponty, an activity pack containing stamped address postcard which people could personalise with their own message and pictures. We were interested in finding out about people's favourite places, memories and their aspirations for the town. We also conducted a number of telephone interviews with members of the group, and these conversations gave direction to our ideas, which included making reference to the Welsh national anthem composed by father and son Evan James and James James, both residents of Pontypridd. This image here is of the original manuscript, which is held in the National Library of Wales, and a sketch for our initial idea, which uses the musical score as the basis to develop a line or path of song which we could overlay onto the artwork.
Here we've got a plan of the building showing the parapet running all the way around. The elements in yellow show the areas that we are not applying the design to, complex because of corners and curves. The design runs here from the Brecon beacons down the Taff and Cynon, through Ponty and down to the Severn, and then meet here at the turret, and then from the turret go from the Severn, but this time past Ponty and turning up through the Rhondda Valley. We've also mapped the national anthem onto the design in the form of an orange path, and this shows the shape of the path that runs in parallel with the actual topography. And you can see on here that you begin to see in more detail the nature of this topography and the nature of the path running down. And in more detail here you can actually get a sense of the path, and you can get a sense of each note represented as a dot. And the path actually maps to the contours.
So we really like the idea that the kind of the spirit behind the wording of the national anthem, land of poets, and the idea of song, and to kind of create a path of song that we wove through the design was something we really wanted to sort of reference.
And here you can see the YMCA actually positioned at the confluence, and it's the same both sides. This is where it opens out to the sea, and we didn't want this to be just solid because the colours are opaque. The glass is like a cast glass with insulation inside. The insulation is sort of a milky white colour, so it allows light through, so it's kind of like a light box when it shines. You can't see the design through it, but you would see opaque areas would be very dark. So to create an open space and to be able to feather it off, we developed this, taking off some old map designs in the way that sea and open water was actually rendered on some of the old geological maps. And this is just some snaps going back up the Rhondda, and this is the end of that particular journey.
And these are the final visualisations which the architect created, which show the artwork both during the daytime and nighttime as viewed from various different viewpoints. This is the building at night. As Leanne was saying, the effect when illuminated from behind will kind of have a light box effect, so the design will be mainly seen as a silhouette.
We really like the way that we've got this landscape weaving around the top of this building, and also what that landscape represents relative to the aspirations and history of the building and what the landscape means to a place like Pontypridd. We also wanted to make sure that the design would have longevity, so it's almost a minimalistic design to a degree, but there's a lot of complexity there at the same time. So we haven't overlaid it with loads and loads of images, but there's a real poetry to the area, and that seems to be reflected in the maps.